Hello and a warm welcome to News Across Nigeria. I'm Melinda Akinlami. Coming up on the program, President Muhammadu Buhari meets Senate President Dr. Bukola Saraki and Speaker of the House of Representatives Honorable Yakubu Dogara over the killings in Plateau State. Federal government recommits to the war against drug abuse. And the Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, inspects solar projects for markets in Oyo State. We begin with security matters. Leaders of the National Assembly have met with President Muhammadu Buhari over the violence in Plateau State. The Senate President, Dr. Bukola Saraki, and the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Honorable Yakubu Dogara, visited the presidential villa this morning, just before the Federal Executive Council meeting. The two leaders also received a briefing from the President on the steps being taken to tackle the crisis, especially the killings in the northern part of the country.
Myself as Speaker requested to have a meeting with the President to get, first of course, to commiserate what has happened and meet with him to see what we can do collectively to address the issues on ground and get a briefing from him on the steps that they have taken so far, and if there's any need of what we also can do in our own part to support. And of course, the briefing, the President, of course, like any father of a nation, expressed how such a terrible situation and steps that are being taken to restore sanity, to give confidence to the nation is of great concern to him and to all of us, to see how what can be done with NEMA, the security agencies and all that. And we've received that and started with the briefing, and we'll continue to all work towards it. Nobody is happy with it. He is not, neither of us are, and we'll ensure that we all come together collectively to see that, we restore sanity and, of course, commiserate with all the families that he's come back. It's our intention to also go and pay our own condolence visit to the people of Plateau. One general appeal at the end of the day is that we must live together in peace and harmony to all Nigerians. And
these are very, very somber moments for most of us. Situation where people in hundreds are killed, and we cannot continue to tolerate this as government, because whatever it is, we mustn't lose the fight against violence, because we can't lose that fight and still keep our civilization. You go to the northeast, you can see the level of devastation caused by Boko Haram. Everything resembling progress, from school to hospitals to government institutions, everything has been pulled down. And we don't want a replication of this all over the country. And the President has taken in all states, these are security issues, they're not matters that you can discuss, but he's told us what he's doing and the reorganization that he plans to put in place to ensure that this don't happen.
Meanwhile, the former Vice President, Atiku Abubakar, has suggested dialogue and what he called hard and soft power to tackle the security challenges in the country. He was reacting to the recent killings in Plateau State during his visit to the governor of Delta State, Ifeanyi Okowa, where he asked for support for his presidential ambition under the umbrella of the People's Democratic Party, PDP.
There are two issues there. What we call soft power and hard power. If you rely on any one of them, you are not likely to succeed. So the best thing is to try and ensure there is a dialogue at the local leadership level between the various communities living together, because they have been living for hundreds of years anyway, and peacefully. So what is it making them live at war at each other at this moment? So I think there has to be, what I call, hard and soft power, or, stick and carrot approach.
And staying with security matters, but this time in Benue State, where 2 soldiers deployed in the ongoing Operation Wellstroke have been killed and 5 others injured in an attack carried out by suspected herdsmen in Guma local government area. Among the injured is the captain who led the operation on Monday evening, and the deputy force commander of the operation, Group Captain Precious Amadi, confirmed the casualty figures to Channels Television when Governor Samuel Ortom visited the injured soldiers at the Nigerian Air Force Hospital, Makurdi. Governor Ortom volunteered to foot their bill and all other patients at the hospital. He also reiterated his call on security operatives to arrest the leadership of the Mietiala Cattle Breeders Association for alleged complicity in the killings in Plateau and Benue State. And let's move to Gombe State now, where the governor, Hassan Dakwambo, is appealing to the federal government to prioritize the distribution of relief items to victims affected by the recent disasters in Bauchi State. He says the assistance should be given now. They need it. He made the appeal at the palace of the Emir of Bauchi during a visit to commiserate with the people over the recent tragic accident. The governor also gave a total donation of 20 million naira, 10 million each to the 2 communities affected. To other stories now, the federal government has reaffirmed its commitment to tackle drug and illicit trade abuse in the country, and the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Mr. Bello Mohammed, is confident that with the cooperation of all Nigerians, the federal government will win the war against drug abuse. The FCT minister, who spoke at the gathering to mark the International Day Against Drug Abuse in Abuja, appealed to parents and caregivers to join the government in its fight to reduce the menace.
Since 1988, that the United Nations designated the 26th of June as the International Anti-Drug Day, Nigeria has been in the forefront of its commemoration because of its incurable benefits of highlighting the dangers of illicit drug use and illegal trade. At a forum to mark the day, the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory restated government's commitment to combat the menace.
Fight against drugs, like I said about a week ago in one of the other functions relating to drug abuse, is something that is a lifetime goal. It's something that every person has to do it all through the life, because production has gone up at alarming rates across the world.
Key speakers at the gathering decried the negative effect of drug abuse on the nation's economy and security. His submission is supported by an officer in the Office of the National Security Advisor.
We do know that illicit drug activities have disastrous consequences for governance, security, and development. Security has economic, political, social, and environmental dimensions. Illicit drugs undermine this aspect of security.
Drug trafficking is an ever-mounting international security problem. Governments, as well as international organizations, such as the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, the Economic Community of West African States, and an array of international donors have made great strides in acknowledging the growing problem of drug trafficking and have implemented practical measures to stem this flow.
At a separate news conference, the Director General of the National Agency for Food, Drug Administration and Control proffers solution to the menace.
In order to address the public health and social problems resulting from abuse of drugs, the 3 arms of government, the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary, the ministries, departments, and agencies of health, educational and religious institutions, parents, must address these issues with vigor and holistically.
Although the chairman of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, retired Colonel Muhammad Abdallah, believes Nigeria is winning the war, but he calls for the recruitment of more personnel for the agency.
Coming up on the program, more talks to reduce drug abuse, but this time is taking place in Benin City, Edo State. Details in a moment.